the show that is you telling me stories from the audience and sending me emails, and then there are the people that I am requested to bring back again and again. And our next storyteller is one of those. She is an amazing, works so hard on her stories, and I think she goes out, in fact I know she goes out and fucks people just to create this show. Who here has heard the ridiculous lesbian orgy story created for Bawdy Storytelling? That was created for you. She is a sex educator whose second novel came out yesterday.
Ow! Hungry Ghost!
She is the leading writer in the lesbian werewolf genre right now. Her new book is called Hungry Ghost. Please buy it, and please give her a huge welcome. We love her, Allison Moon.
So I think you guys are familiar with my partner, Reed Mahalko. So when Reed and I were first starting to get together, I lived in LA and he lived in New York, and so when he came to visit me, he would stay for a couple of weeks at a time. And at the time I lived in this apartment that I still love so much to this day. It was the top floor of this pre-war building in old Hollywood, and it was, I called it the penthouse because I walked out onto the roof and I was the only one up there, and I had a 360 view of Los Angeles. And my writing nook overlooked the Hollywood sign and Griffith Observatory, and my kitchen sink overlooked Paramount Studios, Beverly Hills, and on a clear day you could see all the way to the ocean. That happened twice in 5 years, but you could see all the way to the ocean. So we had an open relationship from the very beginning. We actually had sex for the first time in a fivesome. It was love at first strap-on. That actually is a story for another body, however, we're not going to get into that one tonight. But it was not a secret we would have lovers and all that, but during the first couple of months of our relationship, we were in heavy new relationship energy, so we didn't really have a lot of sex with other people. And so one day I was getting ready to go to work, and he was in his PJs on his laptop, because he's an entrepreneur. That's what they do. So I was getting ready to go to work, and he said, oh, by the way, it's my friend's birthday today, and I would want to have her over and kind of give her the whole Mahalko birthday present. Would that be okay? And I said, oh yeah, of course, honey, that's totally fine. Just so you know, I'm only working a half day, so I'll probably come home in the afternoon, and you know, you might still be doing it. And he said, oh no, that's great, she would love to meet you. And I think, okay, great, I would love to meet her. And as I leave the apartment to go to work, I think, we're so good at being poly. Our first negotiation 6 years ago. No. So I go to work, I come home, and as I'm walking up the stairs, I hear some sounds. And as I get to my front door, I hear that the sounds are like ardent sex and moaning and hotness, and then like really energetic, lucid conversation. And it's back and forth. It's sex and conversation and sex and conversation. So I'm like at my front door with the key, like waiting for the conversation to start. And then I knock real quick and I come on in. And, and I see Reed, my lover, face down, naked, his face buried in the pussy of Nina Hartley. William H. Macy and Boogie Nights, except for the whole like murder-suicide thing. Because Nina Hartley just looks up and she waves and she's like, oh, hi, you must be Allison, it's so nice to meet you. And so she waves, lucid as ever, and he gets up and he's super excited, he's covered in sweat and Nina Hartley's all over his face and his sex hair's all crazy, and he like bounds over to me just like the puppy with the metaphysical tail wagging, and he says, oh honey, welcome home, I love you, do you want to smoke some hash? And for those of you in the audience contemplating having an open relationship, the best possible thing to say when your lover comes home and finds you fucking somebody else, honey, welcome home, I love you, would you like to smoke some hash? Put that one in your back pocket for a rainy day. Trust me on that one. And so, because I'm not a moron, I say yes, I would like to smoke some hash. And so Nina and Reed lead me into the kitchen, and they're buck naked, and I feel a little bit overdressed, so I take off all my outer clothes and bra and underwear, sitting around my kitchen table. And Nina's got this like rig, right? So there's like a pin, like a button, like the Bawdy Got Me Laid buttons, with the pin sticking up, and there's like hash stuck on top of it, and then there's a wine glass overturned on top of this. Have any of you guys ever seen this before? Okay, cool. Like, this was technology I had never seen before. And I'm like, oh my god. And so, but basically, so Nina takes the wine glass off, she lights the hash so it smolders, and then she puts the wine glass back on, and it fills the wine glass with the smoke. And then she's like, okay, lean over, and she slides the wine glass off the table, and through the crack I can inhale the smoke. And I'm like, this is amazing. I'm really high all of a sudden. And so I'm standing in my kitchen, naked with the most famous porn star in the world and my new lover, getting totally lit off of porn star hash. And I think, like, this relationship has a future. And I ask, because Nina and I are getting to know each other, and I ask, like, the question that I love to ask sex geeks when I first meet them, which is, what's the most picturesque sex you ever had? Because I love this question because it doesn't have to be like good sex. It doesn't even have to be sex with somebody you like. It just has to be pretty. And we've all got pretty sex stories, you know, even if it was totally terrible, it was still pretty, right? And so Reed answers, and he answers that whole castle thing that he told last year on the stage, which you should have heard because it's a good story. And then I answer this time in the Pyrenees that was like terrible sex, but it was really pretty, so, you know. And then Nina answers, and she gets this like wistful, like she's remembering the whole moment, and she's such a sexual person, like this is like organic for her, right? Like sex is her expression of life. And so she starts talking about this, like, I think it may have been a castle, it may have been like a villa somewhere, and it was nighttime, full moon rising, and she was on her knees in front of this beautiful man with this beautiful cock, and she's like, and the full moonlight was streaming through this open window, and she was just worshiping his, she was giving like cock worship, worshiping his cock. And I'm like, pause. I was a lesbian until about a month ago when I met this guy, and I spent most of my time trying to keep dick away from my face as much as possible. So I'm not quite familiar with this whole cock worship that you're talking about. So what is cock worship? And I didn't realize that question is the Nina Hartley, like genie in a bottle question. What is that? Because she's not just a porn star, she's an educator. She wants to spread the gospel of good sex around the world as much as she can. So I ask, what is cock worship? And she just grabs my hand gently, grabs a glass of water with the other hand, and just pulls me into the living room. And then over her shoulder she says, Reed, honey, would you mind lending us your cock? And because Reed's not a moron, she says yes. So she lays Reed down on the living room floor and kneels in front of him with a glass of water, and she begins to teach me about blowjobs. And again, because she's a consummate educator, she actually she describes penises and maps what I'm familiar with, which is vulvas. She maps like female genitalia onto penises. And so she's like, so you know how you can like tug on the inner labia and it doesn't hurt, it feels really good? That's like scrotal tissue. And you know how you can like push on the inner like legs of the clitoral structure and it creates really good sensations? So you want to do that to the inner part of the penis. And I'm like, this is amazing. Like, I liked penis enough because it was attached to somebody I liked, but I never cared that much, and now I'm like, teach me everything. This is amazing. So she's like doing the and I'm just watching, like enraptured with this whole situation, and twilight falls and the sunset is like brilliant orange and is bathing us all in this beautiful light. And then she's like, here, would you like to try? And I think, sure, Nina Hartley, I'll give him a blowjob in front of you, sure. And so I'm like, and I hear a knock at the door. Now, I want to remind you, I live the top floor of a 5-story building. No one ever comes to my door. I don't get trick-or-treaters, I don't get UPS guys. It's hard to get the manager to come over to fix anything. And I hear a knock at the door and I think, this is weird. So I you know, walk over to the door, and I've got one of those chains, and I kind of open it, and there is a girl. She's maybe like 11 or 12, standing in my front door, and I'm like, and as like the pot smoke like wafts out of my apartment, and as Nina Hartley's like sucking on cock, I'm like, this is how Allison goes to jail. This is how it happens. That's one of those stories you tell your friends, or you tell a buddy. Oh my God, I knew this Allison, this friend Allison, she went to jail because of this crazy thing that happened. So I'm like, oh my God, this is bad. This is bad. And so I have like the chain open, I'm like, hey, what's up? Like blocking with my like bra and undied like body, like, what can I do for you, 12-year-old girl? And she says, oh, I'm gathering signatures for future youth leaders in Obama's America. And if I get enough signatures, I get to go to DC. And I'm like, honey, that's great. I can't help you right now. And she says, no, like if I get enough signatures, like I get to go to DC and I get to meet the Obamas. And I think, oh my God, that's actually pretty cool. How do I negotiate this? Like this little, like she's like, it's for at-risk youth in in urban areas, and like we get to fly and we get to meet all of them. And I'm like, this is a good thing. Allison, don't fuck this up for this little girl, because your apartment is full of hash and porn stars. Okay. And so she gives me the pen and I like wedge my arm through the door, and I'm like sign real quickly. And I'm like, okay, good luck. Say hi to Malia for me. Okay, good, bye. So I close the door. And at this point, the moon is rising over Griffith Park, and I'm walking back to my living room, and I see Reed lying there, my new lover, lying there naked on the floor, and I see Nina Hartley like leaning over him, and as I come down to kneel next to them, she kind of hands me his cock, and she says, would you like to suck him together? And I think, yes, most famous porn star in the world. Yes, I would. And so we both lean over, and she says, one fun thing to do when you have two mouths in one cock is you can kiss through the cock. And I think, that's so romantic. And so Nina and I lean in and just start making out on top of my new boyfriend's cock. And as I've got my eyes closed, and then I open my eyes and I see Nina's blonde, fabulous hair, and then I look over her shoulder to the picture window, and the full moon is rising over Griffith Park, and I think, fuck the Pyrenees. Fuck the Pyrenees. This is the most picturesque sex I've ever had.
I don't think she got it. Allison Moon! Someone let you in on a little secret? Pretty much not every, but a lot of stories that I get pitched at Bawdy, like they'll get on stage and they won't name the person. Tonight we're naming the people, most of us, but they won't name the person, and later on I'll have a drink with Allison or Reed, and they'll go, that was me.